get it. There's more lions there. Morning, guys. What a great way to get back on the vehicle. We've got like 12 hyenas around us and they're busy harassing the Tsalala pride. I can actually see more lions off to the right of me. What an exciting way to start the sunrise safari. My name is Brent Smith. I've got Bryan on camera and we've got James and Andrew on their way here right now. James. James, make your way. I'm the only vehicle here. Stations, we have about 12 hyenas, and at the moment, what I can see, 1, 2, 3, about 8 lions at Sydney's dam on the Vuyatela side. Look at this. Sorry, guys, I've just got to be on the radio. Negative, it looks to be Tsalala pride. There's a tailless lioness here. Not that I can see at the moment. The hyenas are just harassing them. Copy, Craig. They at that link road that goes around the Sabi Sand houses at the moment. We can see a couple of lions in the road. I think I saw a tailless lioness, so I think this is the Tsalala pride. So I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got, if we have a look, there we go, 1, 2, 3, there's the tailless lioness. And if we go to the left, 4, and if we keep going, Bryan, keep going, behind the hyenas, there's 5, and then, is that the Birminghams? Come quickly here, across here, there's a whole bunch of other lions. It's not the Birminghams, but I'm not sure which lions those are. So there's another 3 lions over there, or 4, I'm not sure who they are. Isn't this really, really exciting? And then, literally right next to me here, we can't even see him, he's so close. There's a hyena sleeping, right here. But we're going to move a little bit. These hyenas look like they're going to push forward towards those lionesses and young male lions. Ooh. See that? One stern look from that lion sent the hyenas backing away. And then if I... The hyenas, they're busy working themselves up. Look at their tails up. It's a sure sign of excitement. There's another hyena coming in. There we go, you can see in the distance someone else has arrived, tails up. The one who was sleeping next to the car is looks like they're gonna go greet. And just judging from their reaction, it means it must be quite a high-ranking individual. But we're gonna move forward towards the lions and let's see if these hyenas decide to harass these lions a bit more. It's possible there could be a killer out there. Obviously I can't see anything yet. The last I heard they want a buffalo kill. This is really good. Oh, there's a kill. It looks like they got a buffalo. That's why the hyenas are all here. There is a carcass here. So this is really fascinating. James has just arrived. He's with those other lions. We're not sure who they are, but there we go. We can see it looks like a buffalo calf. Stations, these animals at the gate have caught another nyari. It looks like a sub-adult. So they're heading up towards those lions. We're not sure who they are, but James is with those lions there. Really, really fascinating. And I mean, this just proves we never really know what's going on. So we've got 4 young males, that young lioness walking up the road, 2 adult females that I can see, and James is with at least 3 other lions who we have no idea who they are.
I've never seen this pride. Hello everyone, what a spectacular morning. Well done, Brent Leo Smith. You can see him just in the background there, possibly. Lions walking towards us. They've killed a buffalo, and I've never seen them before. Look at this. We've got 3 lionesses off to... They're actually running. The 3 lionesses next to me are running off into the bush. They've obviously got a fright from these guys here. Andrew, I don't know where they've gone. They've nipped around the corner there. And these 3 are obviously from a different pride. You can see we've got 2 young males, at least 2 young males there, and then the 2 lionesses coming through here. And I suspect the lionesses are the ones who are going to be territorial about this situation. They're the ones that will drive any kind of territorial behavior here when they've got a territorial dispute. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 lions there. I'm going to stop here so that we do get, if they do interact, we'll get them both in the picture. There we go, the one. There's the lioness there, following up on the other 2. She's now starting to jog, moving through the...
Welcome back, everyone. Listen to that. Isn't that incredible? The hyenas are coming in. There's only 1 lioness here. And that calling we're hearing... She's trying to get the other hyenas G'd up, worked up. They're coming in. The hyenas are coming in. Sorry guys, I just got to get hold of Tax, who's just started drive. Taxon. Okay, we're going to cross to James, who's with those other lions, and that are contact calling, but if these hyenas come in closer, we'll be right back here.
Hi everyone, back to us. That lioness there is contact calling for the 3 that ran away. I can't see where they've gone. I think they may have crossed this road. They're obviously nervous of something. I'm very confused as to what's going on because I don't know these lions. It's all rather magnificent to be viewing here in the morning. I can't actually move the vehicle at the moment because you will lose signal, and that obviously won't be very good. So let's just see what this lioness does. We'll see if she calls again, and then we'll go back to Brent and I'll head around that way. There, you can see that. I'm not sure if you can hear it. It's just gone, ooh, ooh. That's what it sounds like. Well, she's calling the other 3. I don't know why they ran away. They definitely had lots of blood on their face, so they've obviously been feeding with her. I think we're going to follow her. I'm going to cut back to Brent if we can, because we're going to move and we're going to lose our signal.
You can see the hyenas getting closer and closer. There's two. The other lioness has now moved closer to the carcass, just to keep the hyenas honest. We've got the tailless lioness who's feeding off this buffalo carcass at the moment, and as far as I know, the loss of her tail was from hyenas. So she probably has a distinct dislike for hyenas, probably more so than a lion normally would. But I'm going to try to count how many hyenas I can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, there we go. Hyenas are running. I don't know if they're being chased by... I think they got chased by the other lions that we can't see. Or they just got a fright and they're being a bit nervous. But a lion asked, would hyenas try attack lions? Most definitely. I mean, we've got such a big group of hyenas. They're busy sort of getting themselves excited. So hyenas, being a very incredibly complex social predator, quite often it can take them up to an hour or 2 hours of sort of getting each other exciting. Very much like a gang of humans. One spurs the other on, calling, excited, and eventually they suddenly just charge in. They are young males, and that's what's making them probably a bit more nervous. So even though these males are quite young, and some of them are moving back down towards us, and that's what caused the hyenas to run off a little bit. And you can see James is with those young lions coming back here. So you can see that young male, and you can see James Henry looking quite chuffed with himself. There you go, he's waving. He's very happy, so am I. And that's what caused the hyenas to move off. And it could be the fact that the hyenas came so much closer now that the lions have started moving their way back towards the carcass. And I'm not sure. I thought it was the Birminghams, and obviously I'll have a chat with James now. But I've only ever seen 2 lionesses and 4 young males with the Tsalalas, but they're definitely... Sorry, 3 young males, but they're definitely 4 young males. And 2 adult lionesses, 1 sub-adult lioness. And I'm not sure what those lions are with James, but I'll have a chat to him now when he gets a bit closer. Here we go, here comes one of the young males. And you can see how fat his belly is. He's glutted. So, Andreen and lots of people on Twitter seem to be on the same wavelength with me. Look how big his tummy is. He has definitely eaten as much as possible. And here comes the next young male, and he is even fatter, if that is possible. Look at the size of that belly. Oh, might get a little bit of... Oh, we can hear the growling. Look how the female's ears are back. Just hear those hyenas lowing in the background. We're going to cross across to James, who's got some very interesting behavior with hyenas.
Hi everybody, welcome. The hyenas here are just actually eating the world's most disgusting substance, and that is lion dung. It smells something vicious. We've just watched a young male lion deposit it over there in a runny sludge, and the hyenas have come in and they're eating it, and they were urinating on it as well. And I suspect it's kind of like a territorial dispute thing. This hyena here is standing not more than 5 meters from us, and now I'll just put my hands back in the car there. She goes past. Definitely planning some kind of an attack, but the lions came past this area. They all went to the loo in the same place, scraped their feet. They're obviously a bit angry, and one of those young males was growling quite loudly. And then he made his deposit, which has actually quite mercifully been eaten by the hyena, because, as I say, there is nothing in the world that smells worse than lion dung. So there they are. You can see the lion and the hyena now in picture. Hyena walking down the road towards a young male. And please, if anybody in the audience knows who these lions are, I would love to hear from you, because I'm really deeply confused. Now apparently there is some conjecture that this might be the Tsalala pride, and that would be very exciting to me. I must say, I haven't seen them or their offspring for a very long time. We used to know them at Londolozi, both Brent and I, and if this is them, that'll be fascinating. The thing to look out for them, of course, is the tailless female. Belly on that. I'm going to actually, sorry Andrew, I'm going to go around here. You say that the Tsalalas are 3 adult lionesses, 7 adult males, and 1. Well done.
Welcome back, guys. These lions have chosen possibly one of the worst signal areas for us, but between the two vehicles, you'll be able to stay with us. And isn't this incredible? You can see James moving around with the hyenas in the background. And there he is. And there are so many hyenas around, but I think there's just too many lions for them to make a full-on attack. These young males will probably is what's keeping these hyenas at bay. There's 4 of them that I can see. Taxon and the guests from Juma have just arrived as well. And I mean, if we look to just behind the carcass, so the hyena is using the bush as a little bit of a safety net, so much closer than the other hyenas. You can just see the spots through there when it moves. It should move. There we go. There's the hyena. And speaking of hyenas, we're going to cross to James, who can show you a good shot of them.
Hello everyone, signal is back, mercifully, and you can see lots of hyena now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in picture so far, and I think there are probably more. They're now moving towards the carcass where the inimitable Brent Leo Smith is sitting with the rest of the lions. And I'm sure they're planning something, but what is interesting here is that there's probably not enough of them to chase these lions off. You normally need a ratio of about 3 hyenas to 1 lioness for the balance to be tipped in the hyena's favor, and with young males like this, you're probably looking at 4 hyenas per lion if they're going to mount a successful attack. And so they'll hang around here. We've probably got 6 lions here, at least 6 or 7 lions, and about the same, well, maybe up to 10 hyenas, I think. I keep spotting new ones dotted about in the bush. And so I think you'll find that the hyenas are probably just a little bit under-resourced in terms of foot soldiers today. But let's see what happens. These lions will be less and less inclined to defend the kill the fatter that they become. And you can certainly see that they are breathing very heavily, and that's because they have gorged themselves on buffalo flesh during the night. Hugely exciting. I'm so glad to have seen some lions. It's been a long time since I've had a decent lion sighting on Juma. And especially to have them interacting like this with the hyena. I'm sorry, Jenny, to make you gag with my description of what the hyenas were eating, but I have to tell you, when I witnessed that, I was almost sick myself. The hyenas clearly do not have the same sense of taste that you and I do. They're obviously, yes, well, like I say, lion dung is not something you want to have smelling around your home. 1, 2, 3. I can still, Andrea, are we on to more than 7? 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are at least 8 hyenas here now. But you can see they're all lying down, and I think they are. What they do is they do. But you can see they're all lying down, and I think they are. What they do is they do sort of rile each other up. They start to kind of call. You may be able to pick them up every so often, going "Paw," and sort of like a growl and a contact call at the same time. And what that does is they rile each other up a bit, and then they might mount an attack. But I think there are just too many lions here. And this is probably the clan that we see. Oh, there's another one there, way in the distance. Can you see it there, Andrew? Mm-hmm. Across to the water. So that's 9. And the noise of them calling will definitely attract others. But I'm not convinced that this clan that we see around here is very big. I think they're quite a small clan. And the calling might in fact attract hyenas from another clan, and then not only will we have a lion and hyena fight, we'll also have an inter-clan fight between the hyenas. They're very territorial, and they won't tolerate other clans in the area. They'll definitely have a fight. Fascinating. This really is spectacular, and you can see them just moving slowly closer, slowly closer, slowly closer, trying to sort of encourage each other and gee each other up. Okay, let's go and have a look at the hyenas coming towards the carcass with Brent, and I'll reposition slightly. Marvelous sighting.
Welcome back, everyone. Isn't this absolutely fantastic? Such interesting behavior. And James was saying, if there's another clan of hyenas close by and they hear this vocalization, there is a very good chance of a clan war. However, I think where these hyenas are now is right in the center, or part of the center of their territory. The den is probably less than 800 meters from here. And you probably find that's why we've got such a strong response. I know James counted 9 hyenas. I counted 12 a little bit earlier. So there are a few hyenas around, and generally with hyenas you would, where are they off to? Are they deciding it's not worth it, or they're going to call some more reinforcements? And we see, if we come back towards the carcass, we can see how fat, look at this little guy now, he is literally obese with the amount of meat he has imbibed. And Virginia in Kentucky is being very, very observant. I mean, this is not the world's biggest buffalo, and all these lines are very full, and she's wondering if this is a second kill. Virginia, you are spot on. I heard that yesterday that they had a buffalo kill in Sibambili, which is to the west of us. So the Tsalala pride seem to be buffalo machines. They seem to be dropping them all over the place. And you know what? Buffalo is not only good for eating, it looks like it's quite a reasonable pillow as well. I mean, the lions are going to be very, very happy. There's water very close by, so they won't have to move too far for a drink. And they're probably going to stay around this area for today at least. But you can hear that other female growling. So, we can hear the hyenas in the distance. went across to James very quickly. He's with those hyenas that are making that noise.
Tara, have you got a picture? Very nice hyena here. I can try and reposition if you don't have a picture. Hello everyone. Big action with the hyena clan. They've come into an open area just to the north of our boundary, and they were making a big noise. They seem to have come across a sub-adult, and they gave a sort of greeting, which in this case is a lot of genital licking, which, especially given what they've just eaten, is particularly distasteful. But they are definitely regrouping. They're trying to G each other up, and they're looking nervously around the place. And I wonder if there isn't a hyena from a different clan here somewhere. They were making some loud calling noises, whooping, yelling at each other, and I don't know why they're doing that. Now, I'm not going to move the vehicle because we're using signal here, so we just watch what unfolds at the moment. You can see that one there looking off towards the water. There's a huge greeting ceremony here, and you can see the tails when Andrew gets back. Them here. Oh, sorry, Andrew. There's what she was looking at. There's another hyena coming up here. There we go. You can see just behind the aerial. There we go. Now, an interesting question from Anna Marie about the clans, and it dovetails very neatly into our discussion of the clans and, you know, why there are perhaps not more hyenas here. Anna Marie, you say you guess these are probably from the same clan that stole Shadow's kill yesterday. I would say that where Shadow killed yesterday, and you had that incredible sighting with Peter of two or three hyenas stealing a freshly killed impala. Anna-Marie, I'd say that they're right on the territorial border there between the two clans. I know that they've had sightings of up to 16 or 17 hyenas just to the west of there, so just west in Arethusa and into Elephant Plains, and I wonder if they aren't from a different clan of hyenas. It's possible that they're from the same one, but I think that our clan boundary is pretty much around about the Arethusa airstrip, so I think possible from this clan, but possibly from a different clan. I don't know what's going on here. There's definitely seems to be some discipline issues. There'll be an element of play here, but that youngster is running away from the adult. Well spotted, Andrew. Here they come again. Gee whiz. Look at that. That's wonderful to see. Beautiful to see. Here come a whole lot more. There are a whole lot more coming up here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in this area. We left 2 back there, and I think Brent said that he had seen 12. So perhaps that's all that we have here. 2 of them are definitely sub-adults, and so I don't think that there are enough of them to chase off those lions. This is just playing. Of course, this playing does reinforce any kind of dominance hierarchy that there does exist in the clan. It's very important to clan social structure, but there is definitely an element of play going on here. Those are definitely 2 younger ones. Now, they're definitely nervous about something coming out of the north. So, just a very good question from Anna Marie there about the clan boundaries and that sort of thing. And like I was saying, 18 hyenas at least have been seen. I think it was actually 30 at one stage on the kill at Simbambili a little while back. And I think this is our little clan. They've got those dens that we've been watching over the last months. And I don't think that it's a very big clan, but we're right near to where the last den was. Right, well, I think we'll probably try and reposition here. Like I say, our signal isn't fantastic. Let's see, we'll stay here with these hyenas for the next little while. And while we do that, let's pop across to Brent and look at the lions before they go to sleep, because inevitably, after their enormous meal, with the heat that will no doubt build today, those lions will go to fast asleep. So we'll head back to Brent, and I will see you just now.
We've got that tailless lioness feeding on the remnants of this buffalo calf. She's the only one still feeding, and as I know James says, the lions will more than likely go to sleep soon. Well, you can see that heavy belly behind her is one sleeping lion, and we have that young male using a piece of the carcass as a pillow, and to the left the rest of the lions are sleeping and spread across towards the road. So the last time that we saw this particular pride of lions was with Jamie a while ago, and Jean saying, well, they looked very hungry and possibly injured, and can I see any possible signs of injury at the moment? Jean, I can't, but one must remember lions have an incredible knack of recovering from what we would consider a very bad injury very quickly, and they have the constitution of a brick, I have to be honest, and what injuries, muscles, etc., they heal very quickly in these animals. So I can't see any visible signs of injury at the moment, but you can see they're definitely not hungry anymore. Here, panting, full belly. As we can see there's a horn in front of that lioness's face, and Rena and Ashley are having a discussion on whether a lion would eat the horns of this buffalo, and they would not. So basically what the horn is keratin. It's same as your fingernails or your hair, and they're unable to digest it. It will also be quite difficult for them to chew through, obviously very, very hard, even in a young buffalo like this. So no, they wouldn't eat the horns. I mean, occasionally with leopard and lion, when you see them with smaller prey, they occasionally will swallow the horns, but it'll pass straight through and it's undigested. So there's no mammals who are able to digest keratin, and the only animal that is able to digest those horns is a creature called a horn moth, and a horn moth is a type of fish moth that I'm sure lots of you at home battle with to keep out from making holes in your clothes. So the same species of moth that can make holes in your clothes can also eat the horns of a buffalo. So a species of fish moth called a horn moth, and quite often there's no difference between the ones that eat your clothes and the ones that eat horns. So they have a very specially adapted digestive system that enables them to break up keratin. We're going to cross to James, who's still with those hyenas who have found something or stolen something from somewhere.
Hello everyone. There's got something there that they're playing with. I'm not entirely sure what it is. Perhaps, I think it looks a bit ropey to be part of the buffalo carcass that Brent is sitting with. But they are playing around with a piece of skin of some sort, and obviously tussling. And they're getting a bit bored, I think. That's what's going on here. You can see the dust. And that's a youngster that found something to play with. I don't think it's from the buffalo carcass. I suspect you'll find that they haven't actually managed to have any of that buffalo. The other chance, of course, the other possibility is that they killed the buffalo and the noise attracted the lions. Now, what is very important for people to realize is that hyenas are exceptional hunters. They do scavenge if they can, of course, but lions in many areas scavenge even more than hyenas do. And so it's possible, I don't think it's likely, but it's certainly possible that the hyenas killed that buffalo and the lions then stole it from them. And that would, I mean, these hyenas don't look like they've eaten. You can see their faces, unlike the lions, are not covered in blood. And so eventually I think these chaps are probably going to get bored and move off. They'll melt into the bush. Now that sub-adult is taking a little bit of a hammering. And there's a very, very strict dominance hierarchy in these clans. It's matrilineal, which means that it runs from the dominant female or matriarch, and her offspring will immediately inherit her status. And the status of lower ranking females who give birth will likewise be determined by the status of their mothers. It's a bit like the British royal family. Not so, Andrew?
Correct.
That's not to compare the British royal family with hyenas, though. That's not what I meant at all.
Naughty, naughty.
Yes, I'm in no way comparing Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II with the hyena matriarch. I think that would be that would be a far stretch. Yes, I think we'll leave that comparison out next time round, Andrew. We have all sorts of people complaining about my anti-royal stance, which I don't have. All right, before I dig myself into an either greater hole, I think let's go straight back to Brent so that I can reconsider my analogies. We'll head back to Brent and see you just now.
Well, it seems James has been discussing the British royal family. Well, if he's with the British royal family, Bryan, what are we with here? We're stumped. We don't have anything to go on from that. But you probably find hyena and lion social structures a little bit more interesting than the royal family, in my opinion. And you can see there's that young male using the carcass as a pillow. There's very little left of this buffalo carcass at the moment. And you can have a look at that belly, look at that shallow panting that's so full. And Donna said that it looks like that lion said it's a glutton lion and can hardly breathe. There we can see that tailless lioness. You can see the missing tail, and as far as I know, that was from hyenas. So she obviously has quite a distinct dislike of hyenas. And very strangely, her grandmother was a lioness we used to see when I worked in the southern section of the Sabi Sands, who we used to call the tailless female. And she was almost the sort of mother of, or the original Tsalala pride. When we started seeing the Tsalala pride originally, when I started, it was one tailless lioness and her two sub-adults. And it has grown into a massive pride since then, so big that they actually had to split. So we've got the Mungen, or the Tsalala breakaways, and then the main Tsalala pride. And of course, this is not a pride we've actually seen very often before. And they are historically very far north of their home range and where they spent most of their time. And obviously with all this commotion with the Birminghams coming in going on, it's displaced lions from all over the place. So the Matimba males were pushed way down south into what is the Tsalala territory. So with them going all the way there, it's pushed these lions to the north. And they're sort of in no man's land at the moment between different groups of male lions. The Salati males, Manuletti, and to the north of us here. I just heard over the radio that they are... Oh! You can't help it. It's mine. I'm too fat to eat, but you can't take it away. I'm just going to lie on it. Sorry, and I just heard on the radio that there's 2 Birmingham males to the east of us. And also another pride of lions has been found to the north of us called the Talamati pride. They've killed 2 buffalo. And the Nkuhumas were seen yesterday, but they headed east. Actually, I'll just ask Taxon, who's here. Did you see the Nkuhumas yesterday?
Yes.
All of them? Kaimans all together?
5.
5. So was the young Madonna there?
No.
Okay, so very interesting. So Taxon saw the Nkuhumas yesterday, but minus Junior. So he saw the 5 lionesses and no Junior. I wonder if Junior has been chased off or was just lurking somewhere behind. And we know he's a little bit lazy, like most male lions. But I will keep my ear open to see if we get another update on what could be happening there, and if anyone does find the Nkuhumas later on the sunrise safari. So we're going to cross back to James quickly, who's with those hyenas.
Hello everyone, the hyenas are moving further into Buffelshoek, so we just thought we'd have a quick look here. They got up and suddenly started running to the north. We don't know why. We can't see exactly what they're chasing, but they're now doing as I predicted, which is unusual. My prediction skills are not very good. I normally end up with egg on my face, but they're now melting gently into the bush. And I suspect that they've decided that discretion in this particular instance is going to constitute the better part of valor. And that just means that should they wish to attack those lions, they'd come off very second best at this stage. Okay, so we'll probably head on to roundabout where Brent is, have a quick look there, and then head off and see what else we can see. I think the hyena action for the moment is probably over. Yeah, they're going into the bush there, you can see. So special to see this level of hyena interaction, I must say. I really find these animals absolutely fascinating, and I'm sad we don't get more time with them. It's so interesting, when they're little and young, they become extremely confiding around the vehicles. They don't worry about the cars at all, and they seem to lose that as they get older. They don't like it when you follow them through the bush. You know, you can make quite a lot of noise behind a lion or a leopard in the bush, and they just carry on going. Same with wild dogs, but the hyenas, not so much. Oh, here we go. They seem to be coming. Something has definitely got them very excited. It's probably just the prospect of a good breakfast. And they will need to be pretty careful about about making too big a noise, which might attract a larger clan into the area. But I think they're pretty much in the middle of their territory, so they should be okay. So they're probably, from this vehicle now, I'd say they're probably about 150 meters or so to the north of us. And that in feet is about 330 plus 100, so say 500 feet. And getting that, you know, they don't want to be out in the open too much, so they'll probably head into the bush. Barbara, thank you for your comment. Apparently my my passport has been black flagged by the UK Passport Office because of my comparison with well, it was an unintentional comparison of the hyenas with the royal family. Of course, that is all I meant there was that, much like the royal family inherits their parents' status, so it is with the hyenas. And it is not like that, of course, with the lions. Hyenas, or the elephants, who also live in a matrilineal society with a matriarch. This seems to be the only one out here where that is the case. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I've dug myself a deep enough pit as it is. It's a nice cool morning. I don't think it's going to get too hot today. This cloud may burn off later on, and then the heat that we've experienced over the last week, which could be roughly approximated to that at the center of a star, will perhaps give us some respite today. Right. Let's go and have a look at the last remaining lion at the carcass with Brent. As I said, they do get themselves full and then they'll lie about like very corpulent, I don't know what they're, corpulent somethings. I nearly said something else royal and I'm not going to say that. Right, we'll go across to Brent and I'll see you just now.
Look at that, the gluttonous male is trying to eat, but it almost looks more like he's playing with his food. He's so full. I'm going to eat, I can't. So I'm just going to drag the carcass around. Okay, he's moved it about 3 times now without actually feeding on anything. Well, Charlie says, this looks like my family after Thanksgiving pig out. Yes, they definitely have overindulged. I mean, it's ridiculous, eating 3 buffaloes in 3 days. And most of the buffaloes they have been killing have been young calves though, so they haven't been big adult buffalo. So, but even then, it's no easy feat, and they are very full. And I'm going to pull it around again. As you see him moving the carcass. Earlier, one of the young lionesses was trying to drag the carcass, and this fat boy just lay on it and refused to let her move it. And Arcadio said that had her in hysterics. So they are such interesting animals. He doesn't really seem to know what to do. He knows he doesn't want to leave it in case someone else comes near it, but he definitely can't physically eat anymore. Oh. Now, I'm going to lie down on another lion. There's not that much of the carcass left, but there's still definitely enough to keep them around. Let's reposition quickly and go have a look at those other lions lying on the road. What a great way to start the morning. As we get going, Bryan and I were heading down the boundary, and James had said it looked like there were tracks of a herd of buffalo, so we came to have a look. And I even said to Bryan, yes, wouldn't it be nice if there were lions behind that herd of buffalo? And just over there we saw the tracks of the buffalo crossing And I was like, well, there goes the buffalo. And then up into the road, we just saw this hyena run with his tail up, full of excitement. And that made me behave like a hyena, tail up, full of excitement. And I shot down the road as fast as possible. And when we arrived, the hyenas were actually mobbing one of the lionesses. So really interesting behavior here. And obviously I think the hyenas found the lions at a similar time to what we did, just judging from that behavior. And you can see they sort of worked out that it wasn't worth, the odds weren't exactly in their favor. So they moved off and decided not to try. Oof. Smelly lions. They moved off and decided not to try take the carcass. And as a general rule, it's obviously nothing is ever 100% for fact in the bush. But as a general, hyenas prefer to be 3 to 1. So for every lion, they prefer to have 3 hyenas. And in this case, it was pretty even. Oh, look at that one at the back there. Where are my binoculars? Does it look like a wound at the base of his tail? So you guys did say it looked like the last time you saw them, some of them were carrying a few wounds. And there looks to be a wound. I'm just going to grab my binoculars so I can have a bit of a closer look. So you can see it looks like a gap, probably from a bite. And from what I've heard, that I wonder who has been chasing him. Was it the Birminghams? Was it the Matimbas? I think you probably find that these young males were sired under the Majingalan coalition down to the south of us. And apparently one of these young boys had a large chunk missing out of his flank the last time we saw them. But as I said, I haven't seen that injury yet. We are missing one. There were 4 young males earlier, Brian. And now we've only got 3 here. Sure, he's fat and flatulent, lying somewhere close by. He might have headed down to the dam behind us for a drink. What have you spotted? What is this spotted? I think it's the hyenas in the distance that he spotted. See, these lions are probably going to do very little moving from here. It might move down to the water, have a drink. When across to James, who's just come across those other lions who I didn't know who they were, just beyond us. So we're going to cross to James quickly and see if we can figure out which lions those are.
Skittish. I'll do it when we arrive. Hi everyone. We just with 3 lionesses, the 3 that we originally saw here, and they're obviously very scared of the Tsalala pride off to our left-hand side, the left-hand side of your picture. And as we drove up, they actually got up and moved. They're very nervous of the vehicle as well, and that is of course, if you've been watching for a while, you know that lions are normally extremely confiding with the vehicles. They hardly react to us at all, and this is very unusual. I don't know what's going on here. She's panting, you can see, so she's obviously been eating, but maybe the 3 of them took the buffalo down and had it scavenged from them by the hyenas and those other lions. But they're definitely very skittish of the other lions. They can't be part of the same pride. I'm going to try and sneak forward and show you the other 2 as well. What I'm going to do is reverse very slowly back and just edge off-road here, because she is nervous. You'll see as soon as I start the car with my fat head out of the way, you'll see that she immediately does react a little bit. We'll just be a little bit careful. Move there gently to the side. don't react, and there you can see all three of them now. Andrew, I'm just going to go a little bit further forward. There we go. They've definitely eaten a lot. Is that all right for you, Andrew?
Perfect.
So I suspect, and I'll talk about this with Brent Leo Smith, or perhaps it will be relayed to him and he can tell you if he thinks this is possible, that these three, I don't know if it's an adult buffalo carcass or not, but maybe these three killed it and had it stolen by the Tsalala pride and possibly those hyenas, even maybe those hyenas first. But sometime during the night there was a great upheaval here, and it didn't end very well for that poor buffalo. And the buffalo, of course, have been taking what can only be described as a horrible pasting over the last few days. The Birminghams between them, along with the Tsalalas, have killed more than 10 buffalo in the last 7 days. Now that is a huge amount of meat. So the lions here are not struggling for food at the moment. And as Andrew pointed out to me earlier today, he said, do you think this has got something to do with the drought? Well, we're not really in a drought so much as we are in a time of, it's pretty normal weather conditions and water conditions for this time of year. But certainly the dryness may well be having an effect, because the buffalo will be slightly weakened and they also will have to go to water in a very predictable manner. And so the lions will quickly learn how to pick them off. Now, an interesting thought from Acadia and Blair and a few others. Thank you for that. You say that you reckon that this is the Styx lioness who had the cubs. Now, that is possible. I definitely didn't spend enough time with her to know what her distinctive markings are, but I know they have been around here. The only thing that would make me question that, Acadia and Blair, would be the fact that she seems to be a bit nervous of the vehicles. But that could also simply be a function of the fact that she has had a rough night of being stolen from. Now look how pink her nose is. She's not an old lioness, you know. You can see from her face that she's been smacked about a bit. But yeah, I don't know that pink nose indicates that she's much younger than 6. She's probably only about 3. Tija. Yeah. Tija Nyar. Right, so just another game drive, and of course, as many of you know, we do share this reserve with a number of safari operators, and this is from Simbambili, which is the reserve actually that those lions are lying on. They're lying on a reserve called Simbambili. We're right in the northeastern corner of Djuma. So, people, let's have a look and try and remember, those of you who are experienced at this, the Tsalala, or not the Tsalala, the Styx lioness who had the cubs, did she have a nose that pink? I seem to remember her being a bit older than that. This lioness is no more than 3 years old, I don't think. And I think that this Styx lioness was a bit older, I think, but I might be wrong. Whatever. Tsalala. Tsalala lil tile. Inquatu le. Yeah. 7. 6. Okay. Okay. 3. So we're just discussing here. What? Yeah, 6. 6. 6 yati 6 ya vavanuna. 3 ya vavanuna, 3 ya vavansati. Le. Oh, okay. All right. And Bonanga, yeah, Brentiko. Oh, okay. Okay. So we're just discussing who these lions could possibly be. Guide from some not lions, some elephants screaming off to the south of us, very cross with each other. And they make a sound a bit like that out of the Jurassic Park movies. I don't know if you've seen them, but the sounds that those dinosaurs made are often modelled on some of the screams that elephants make. It's a very primal sound, and they're obviously very upset about something just to the south of us. So there's definitely no consensus from the guide there as to who these chaps are. I think it's all rather fascinating.
Is that a sub-adult male, the second one there?
Now, that's a good question, Andrew. I don't think so. Oh, because he's quite hairy around the face. But that might be just the fact that he's matted. You know, he's got that matted hair from the blood. But it's possible. So Andrew's just saying, is that not a sub-adult male in the middle? Certainly not an initial looking, but it could be. Let's see if it lifts its head. No, maybe they're not as nervous as I thought they were. It might have been just the fact that we came around the corner and surprised them. So the one at the back is definitely a lioness. So Ashley, welcome. You're a new viewer. Wonderful to have you along. And interesting question, a good one and a common one. How old do lions get? Ashley, lions in this particular area probably don't normally live much more than 10 years old, you know. Life is tough out here for a lion, and they potentially could live up to maybe 15 or 16 in captivity, possibly up to 20. But out here, 10 to 12 is about the average, and that's because, you know, as soon as they start to lose condition, they fail to be able to hunt, and the pride is not an egalitarian society. What that means is that they don't kind of look after each other like human beings do, or like elephants do, or wild dogs. If you can't keep up with the pride, or you get sick, or you get injured, the pride will just leave you alone, and that's why they don't often survive. Once they start to lose body condition at about 9 years old, up to 12, then they normally die quite quickly after that. And certainly in this area, I think the record aged lion was about 16. That was a big male, but in a coalition of males, strong coalition of males, and without much competition. So without competition, they'll live a bit longer. But at the moment, you can see there's a lot of competition. These two sort of prides. There's a pride obviously to my right-hand side, your left-hand side of screen, and this pride here. So quite interesting. Lots of competition. I think you'll find that longevity here will be no more than 10 to 12 years. Good one. Thank you for that, Ashley. We're going quickly across to Brent. He's got something interesting to show you. See you just now.
Hyenas are coming back in. Sorry guys, welcome back. The hyenas just made an attempt to come in, and that tailless lioness was off in a flash, and now we can see her scent marking. I can see 2, 3, 4 hyenas that are back. There's 2 quite close to her, but she might take a run at them. So they left that carcass. They were lying in the road, and the hyenas trying to just sneak in. And as I said, I think this lioness, to the fact she lost her tail to hyenas, is very, very aggressive when it comes to them. So now she's lying between them and the carcass. And that young male who had a gash under his tail is also making his way back. So, as I said, one of the hyena's greatest attributes and why they're such a successful animal is their patience and the ability to exercise that sort of half gap if someone's not paying attention. And hyena's so strong, they would have been able to grab that carcass and probably run off with it quite a distance if the lions hadn't been being vigilant. You can see the young male has now moved the carcass deeper into the trees there. I'm trying to have a look if any more hyenas are coming back. I can see 2, 3, still just 4. But there could be some more where I can't see. How many can you see, Bryan? 4. Okay, so we're seeing the same 4 on the move again. I mean, these hyenas are just beyond that lioness, probably 10 meters. So the hyenas have come to the conclusion that there's not enough of them to outright chase off the lions, so they're taking the opportunity to try sneak in and maybe grab that carcass while the lions are flat and flatulent. Oof, it's tired. And you can see, look at that, see, sneaky Howard. So I'm sure a few of you wonder why I call hyenas Howard. So, oh, well, just give me a second. Sorry, Bryan and I are downwind of 5 flatulent lions. Oh, wait, there's something about to happen. That hyena's going to try to sneak around the back, and you might find I'm getting quite close to the carcass. You can see that lioness's ears going flat. I wasn't going to take it, I was just having a look. Now this is where hyenas become quite clever. See, now attention's been drawn to that one. Another 2 come in. There we go. Get out of here, hyena. But see, now there's a gap. Come back out quickly, Bryan. The other hyenas are going to try. See, that's how they are. They work as a team. So now the other lioness is up, and so there was a definite test there. Where we're going to check. We're going to get attention. We're going to get you to be chased. Chase the one hyena, and then the other 2 we're going to just try sneak in. Come back and up to the left. Now the young Tsalala lioness. There we go. She just walked towards that hyena. Now she's scent marking again, trying to display her dominance. But see, this hyena realizes it's a young lioness, and even still just wanders back in. And what the hyenas are doing here, they're testing the boundaries and seeing how vigilant the lions are, and seeing if they get that sort of tiny chance to just get in there and grab the carcass and run off with it. Because lions this fat are not going to be able to run and chase them for that far. They're only going to do that sort of initial 40, 50 meters. And hyenas, if they can get that carcass and run 100, 200 meters, the lions are going to struggle to keep up with them over a long distance, and they can carry that carcass. So I was just saying, I call most hyenas Howard, and there's a couple of reasons. There's the fact that they are both, oh, there we go, tail up. The standoff. You can see that the hyena is not too perturbed, that patience. Just looking, just testing, looking for a little chink in the lion's defense of that carcass to be able to rush in and steal it. You see, the lions have now repositioned. There's 2 at the carcass and 1 between the only visible hyena at the moment in the carcass. Oh, more hyenas coming in. So there's now 5. These 2 on this side of the carcass and another 2 on the other. And I think we might get let's see what happens. Oh, you can see there's another hyena behind, so there's actually now 6. So, I mean, we're sitting here with an incredible amount of apex predators around us. We've got that we can just see now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lions, 6 hyenas, and obviously such a large amount of apex predators requires a lot of food. And Lulu Fire, who might be a new viewer and new to asking questions, welcome, Lulu. Lulu's wondering, is there enough food to support all these lions and hyenas and the other predators in this area? Lulu, fortunately, yes. This is a really, really incredible area in terms when it comes to predators and prey. We're part of a 4 million acre open system. There's no fences between us and the Kruger National Park and the other private reserves around here. So yes, there is, and this is why this area is so fantastic for predators. Hyenas circling at a distance though, after that tailless lioness gave a good account of herself chasing that one interloper. And you can see the wound a bit better, the base of the tail, and chunk out. And it might look like a very bad wound to us as human beings, but to a lion that's a very minor wound, and that should heal without any problem. It doesn't look like it's infected. There we go. Hyenas all around. Incredible patience. So there's about 6 hyenas now around these 7 lions, and then there are those other 3 lions that are lying up not too far, the ones that James was about 30 meters from us. So, while it seems like the hyenas have lost this first foray, and I think it'll be a while before they attempt another one, we're going to cross across to James to check in with those other lions. Really wonder who they are, but hopefully James can shed some more light, and I'll be fascinated to hear.
Hi everybody, so I've come back to the 3 lionesses after we went off to see what was going on with the hyenas as they came up towards what we now are pretty sure is the Tsalala pride with Brent. Now who these 3 are is a matter of some conjecture, and the Simbambili ranger who's just left has reckoned that these are possibly the 3 members of the Nkahuma pride. I'm not sure that he is correct. And then Acadia, your guess that they might be the 3 Shamungwes, which are a small pride of 3 sub-adult lionesses. I'm inclined to go with that one, Acadia. I think that perhaps that's who these are. I don't know them. I haven't seen them before, so it's possible that these are them. I don't think these are Nkuhumas. I might be wrong. I've looked at them all. They've all got pink noses, so they are all quite young. And then a comment from Blair that all 5 Nkuhuma's lionesses were together yesterday without Junior. And Junior's a now 3.5-year-old sub-adult male, and we don't know really where he is or what's going to happen to him. So Blair, I think given that, and given that these are all pink-nosed lionesses, young ones and a bit nervous, I am going to suggest that these are the Shimungwes, and that they made the kill last night, that they were chased off by the Tsalala pride and the hyenas, possibly by the hyenas first, and then the Tsalala pride. And because you can see that they have eaten a huge amount. They're all panting and very fat, and it was quite, I don't know if that buffalo was a sub-adult or not. I think probably it was, and these 3 managed to take it out. Interesting times for the lions. It's interesting. Acadia says that there is a distinctive scar running from the eye to the nose on the Styx female who had the cubs. I have looked at all of these lions, and I don't think that scar exists. Their muzzles are covered in flies at the moment, of course, and that's because their muzzles are covered in blood and gore from the kill, which makes an excellent breakfast if you happen to be a carrion-eating fly. Delicious. Right. Well, all very interesting. I don't think these lions are going to do a great deal for the rest of the day, so we'll sit here a little bit longer with them, see what happens, and then we'll forge ahead. There were some elephants calling, as I said, just to the south of us. Maybe we'll try and find them a bit later. What a magnificent start to this great morning. Okay, Brent will stay with the others as the hyenas make their sort of stealthy way towards the carcass and try and steal a little piece of breakfast for themselves, and we'll carry on. Enjoy.
So we can see the lines are still very flat. The hyenas have moved off slightly at the moment. They are just around, there we go, you might just pick up the movement of an ear or whatnot. And the hyenas just keep testing slightly. Don't think they're going to make too much of an effort now. I think they'll wait till the lions are really tired, maybe eat and full, maybe eat a little bit more. So I think it's going to be a fascinating sunset safari. Let's see what happens here. And sort of high-fiving myself and high-fiving Bryan at the moment, because this area where they've managed to catch this buffalo is somewhat of a Bermuda Triangle for us, and it's right at the corner of Djuma, and quite often we have the tracks of everything just crossing this tiny corner, and we're like, oh, lion track, oh, lion's gone, oh, leopard, oh, it's gone. So for once we're very, very happy, because the Bermuda Triangle, we've found the sunken ship or the missing aeroplane eventually. So I know as all of you guys would love to spend a full 3 hours with us, but sometimes you can't due to what time it is, where you are, or you're at work, or So Bryan, who's just signed in, is just obviously, oh, what's going on? What's here? How many hyenas? How many lions? So we've got 7 Tsalala lions at the moment. And when we first arrived this morning, there must have been 12 hyenas. That's the most I counted. There could have been a few more that I missed. At the moment, they all moved off, went and did some greeting. James was following them, and while we stayed with the lions. At the moment, there's probably about 5 or 6 hyenas around the periphery. And as I was saying earlier, normally hyenas sort of, it's always never an exact science, but on average with like a 3-on-1 combination. So for every lion that's present, and that's young male lions and female lions. If there was an adult male here, these hyenas would be far away. They have a very, very healthy and respect for big male lions, and big male lions have a very strong distaste for hyenas. But so there's probably, as I said, 6 hyenas, and they're just moving. They tried to an attempt, quite a sneaky and quite a clever attempt. But one hyena distracted the lioness, who charged off after her into the distance, and another 2 hyenas tried to sort of sneak in on the peripheries and grab the carcass, but fortunately for the lions, they were aware and up to the challenge. There's a hyena now. They're just walking around the edge, probably from about 20 to 30 meters away from the lions, just looking for that tiniest little gap. But so, Ben, when we arrived this morning, James asked me to check our northern boundary. He said there were tracks of a herd of buffalo heading that direction, and James was initially off to Arathusa, and I just said to Bryan, "Oh, look, buffalo tracks crossing. They've crossed out of our area. Let's go to Buffelshoek Dam, or we're trying to decide where to go next." And as we were doing that, I suddenly just saw this hyena bolt across the road with its tail up. And I said to Bryan, there's got to be something really exciting there. And then we suddenly saw there were more hyenas, and they were actually mobbing the lionesses. And I think the lioness had gone down for a drink at the waterhole, and the hyenas had found them. So there's about 12 hyenas mobbing, and that's that lowing, that ooh, and that excited, maniacal giggling. And we moved in a bit closer, and we suddenly saw there were other lions, and we saw there was a carcass. But even more interesting, there were another 3 lions, and I think James thinks it's possibly the Shimungwe pride. I haven't seen them, and they're not very far from us. So they were watching this from about 100 meters away, and then some of these lions moved off towards them, and then they moved off. So really, really interesting behavior that's going on at the moment, and I'm sure for these lions, I'm hoping for their sake that the Birminghams haven't heard this commotion, because this is literally something that would bring those males right into this area. 2 of them have been found, but quite far to the east of us, and that means there are 3 still out there lurking. Or lurking is probably the wrong word. I would say skulking, sneaking, looking for males to fight or females to dominate. And this pride was within about 300 meters of them last night. Oh, let's see if we can grab him before he disappears. Don't fly away. But it's even while you're sitting with lions, there's lots around you. You see there's a little crested barbet. He's just hopped behind the branch. You can hear that. There he is. Calling with the joy of morning. Not being very cooperative. There we go. That's, well, not quite. Go on, show yourself, barbet. So back to that update. So in total, there's 10 lions within 100 meters of us, but 7 that are probably Tsalala, and 3 maybe Shimungwes, but we're not 100% sure. And while the lions doze, the crested barbet is calling on the silver cluster leaf or terminalia tree to the right of us. Oh, that was kind. He's come even closer to us. It's literally, ooh, still there. I can't see behind me now. Oh, here we go. Right next to us, almost above us now. And I think he might be... There we go. Really, really pretty birds. And you see that very thick, heavily designed bill. And barbets are great fans of fruit. So I'll be quite happy that a lot of the trees... Oh, unfortunately, that's as high as the camera can go. And he's literally just above me. Hopefully, we have no bombs dropped on us while we're watching the lions. So we've been watching this incredible lion and hyena interaction, and Heidi from North Carolina is saying some of those hyenas look very, very young, and she's wondering, would they score points with the rest of the clan if they were able to steal the carcass? Well, Heidi, probably not. So the very thing that some of those smaller hyenas, I didn't see any particularly young ones, but the hyenas that look like they're possibly young are probably males. So males are much, much smaller than the females. And when it comes to hyenas, obviously males will migrate from their natal clan to go mate with another clan. But hyena social hierarchy is very, very set in stone. So basically you are born into your rank. So it's very aristocratic and upper class. So if your mom's the boss, you immediately assume a higher rank than someone else, and it's female lineage that assumes the rank. So the matriarch will beget a matriarch, and so on and so forth. So whoever stole the carcass would not score any brownie points, unfortunately. And what would also happen is there's a very strong possibility that if a lower ranking individual or male stole it, the others would then the other hyenas, that is, would immediately then steal it from them. So of course it's really interesting the fact that there's those other lions lying quite close to us. So we're with the Tsalala 7, we'll call them the Tsalala 7 for now, but I think there is a young male around, so it should be the Tsalala 8. There should be 4 young males as far as I know with this pride. And they have been split and chased, but JT from Pennsylvania is saying, but why would not this pride accept those other lionesses into their pride? Surely it would make more sense because they are better numbers, be better for hunting and for defending their territory against other prides. Well, you sort of focused it a little bit on there, JT, like defending their territory against other prides. So basically, lions defend their genetic line is probably the best thing, and obviously they want their genetics to carry on and go forth and dominate. That's why those other 3 lions are not from the same pride. They have a different genetic line, so the lionesses and stuff would not want those genes to be successful. They want their genes to be successful. Obviously we're using quite broad strokes here, wants and whatnot, and a lot of that stuff is instinctive, and the lions obviously have no thought process behind wanting. They just know they need to, in their sort of instincts, that they need to get their genes out. Is he missing a bottom canine? Oh, and he's flopped down. It looks like one of these young males is already missing a bottom canine. This guy who's lying with his full belly closest to us. Oh, it's one of the worst things about sitting downwind. That male lion we were on just earlier, who is relieving himself, and he's having a... He's obviously glutted, and it's a very... Oh, no. and the wind is blowing straight from there to us. And it is literally possibly one of the worst smells in the world. I'm just going to have to hold my nose for a second. Bryan has got his jacket up around his face. Oof. And now the wind obviously gets stronger. And that was a very runny dung. And obviously they eat so much protein that it is very, very smelly. Okay, we're moving the car, Bryan. I'm not sitting down with this anymore. Jeez, I've spent a lot of time over the years around some very smelly carcasses and whatnot, but this young male lion is taking the cake. Oh, it's almost making me drive too quickly to get away from there. Wow, that was impressive. I think let's go have a look at the carcass and get upwind of everything. Far more pleasant for us. We'll see if there's where all these hyenas are lurking. It almost looks like they're lying down just beyond the lions. Obviously quite a lot of interesting predator interaction. And you can see the hyenas are just lying there, or one stood up now, watching the lions. And there's another one just behind it. I'm just going to, there we go, you can see through the tree. They're just lying there watching, waiting patiently. There's two of them there, and I'm quite sure in the bushes around us there's a few more. Oh, there's three there. So that's that hyena's skill. That patience is what makes them such successful predators. And yeah, this is where it looks like the kill, the final takedown took place. You can see the stomach contents out there. The tail is there, and then there we go. That's the tail. And then just above is looks like the pelvis of that young buffalo. So, as I said, we've been chatting quite a lot about the different predators, how many hyenas would feel comfortable challenging this many lions, etc. And Anne from the sunny coastal city of Durban in South Africa is wondering, he said, well, what if wild dogs came? What would be the wild dog to lion ratio for the wild dogs to successfully scavenge? Even though wild dogs are not well known as scavengers, well, and wild dogs would probably smell these lions and stay very, very far away from them. Lions are one of the biggest threats to wild dogs. They kill a lot of wild dogs, and wild dogs would not even try to scavenge from this many lions. They would probably try avoid at all costs. And on the fact that wild dogs don't scavenge, it's very, very seldom they scavenge. I, in my many years in the bush, have only ever seen wild dogs scavenge once, and it was from hyena, believe it or not, which is a bit of a reverse, because a lot of areas of Africa where there's a lot of wild dogs, hyenas actively follow the wild dog packs while they're hunting. They just sort of hang around because they know the dogs are going to catch something and they're going to get a free meal or scraps of a free meal. But I saw the hyenas were on a baby elephant carcass, and it was a big pack of wild dogs. With the puppies that were with them, they had about 15 puppies who were about 4 or 5 months old at that time, and there were over 30 dogs in total in this pack. And they went and they chased and they stole the dead baby elephant from the hyena. And also it said that wild dogs generally don't eat any rotting meat, but as I said, on that occasion, it's the only time I've seen it that they ate very rotting baby elephant. Sorry guys, I'm just going to be on that game drive radio for a second. Go ahead, F. Hey firm, make your way. Only myself here. There are 5 Mnisi, and then that are flat at the moment. Oh, so Ephraim's on his way in here. He said he can see more hyenas where he's coming from, so they are still around. But I think at the moment it's been called a. Oh, the lions are definitely winning, but it's a bit of a stalemate, and the hyenas don't look like they're going to push any further. I'm just going to roll back slightly so we can have a look at the hyenas. So here we go. There are the hyenas. Probably 40 meters, 30 meters from the closest lion, playing the patience game. But obviously this is quite a new pride for us, and I really like this pride. It's a pride I spent an incredible amount of time with when I worked in the Sabi Sands 7-8 years, longer than that, 8-9 years ago, and incredible hunters. And Kathy, who's from Memphis, Tennessee, the home of some good music as far as I know, is wondering, how old do I think these sub-adults are? I would guess they're probably just under 2 years old, judging from their size. They're not really bigger than the mothers yet, so probably under 2 years old. And you can see that very scraggly little man. So, I mean, if we had to compare them to humans in human years, they're sort of just started puberty, so still a bit awkward and not sure of themselves. But again, still incredibly powerful animals, and will play an important role in the hunting, especially in a pride like this where there's only 2 adult females. There could be more adult females. I'm not 100% sure about the whole Tsalala pride makeup. And as I said, we've only started seeing them in the last 2 weeks. But we were really lucky to be here when the action was on. As you can have a look there, it doesn't look... I think that's about the most movement we're going to get for a while. So we got these lionesses here, and Ashley, thanks for another question, Ashley, is wondering, well, I thought lions only had 1 male in the pride. How can there be 3 here? Well, there are actually 4. Actually, I can't see the 4th one at the moment. But actually, that 1 male scenario, that 1 pride male and whatnot, is a very Disney-esque portrayal, and that actually happens very seldom in the wild. In this particular case, these are 4 young males, litter mates. They're all around the same age, so they are the babies, and they're only going to move off away from this pride. Well, they'll try to stay as long as possible, but with this whole lion turmoil that's happening at the moment, they're probably going to stay a little bit longer with their moms. And the turmoil is caused by 5 male lions, and male lions specifically in this area, it's very famous for lions forming incredibly large coalitions. So obviously 5 lions can fight off 1, 2, 3 lions much easier. So what happens is they form these male coalitions, and they will dominate over possibly 3 or 4 prides in some cases, and being a coalition of males, it enables them to control a far greater area. So at the moment we've got these 5 Birmingham males, and they're still quite young. They've actually killed quite a lot of cubs and other lionesses that have been trying to protect their young and whatnot. So in this area particularly, it's far more common to have a multiple male coalition than it is to have a single male. And that is because this area is so rich in food, and it enables them to have this... Sorry guys, it's starting to rain, and quite hard, but we will tough it out for the moment. Brian's just going to have to put a case over the camera, so there might be a little bit of movement and stuff like that while he puts the waterproof case over the camera. And so actually, So to finish, yes, so male lions in this area are far more common to be in groups, and they're not always related. So quite often you'll have, like this, 4 young males will move off, and they might meet another 2 young males and form a 6-lion coalition. And quite often they're not related males. So we're going to cross across to James while we get ourselves rain ready, and we'll see you a little later.
Sorry, couldn't copy that. I'm reading you 3 out of 5. Hello everyone. A beautiful picture that Andrew has got you there of the road. Well done, Andrew. Nice to have that picture of the road. Thank you very much. That's why we've got the good guys, you know. Their ability to film pieces of dirt is exceptional. What we were actually looking at, while I'm busy throwing Andrew under a bus, is these impala. A really pretty little herd of impala wandering through the woodland, and we are in the area where Shadow was yesterday, and I'm hoping that we might be able to see her. Now, for those of you who don't know, Shadow is a 9-year-old female leopard, and she was around here yesterday, and she, on cue, killed an impala for live television in North America. This was obviously very kind of her. We're most grateful to her, and Scott found her again yesterday afternoon, and I'd like to try and find her again now. But I must just tell you that it is starting to rain, and because we are in a vehicle that is full of electronic equipment, it's quite possible that we're going to have to shut this down. It is actually, you need to put a cover on.
Yeah.
So Andrew's going to put a cover on the camera. We'll attempt to maintain broadcast quality.
How?
We actually need to take it off.
Yeah, I need to put this cover on.
Okay, everybody, I'm afraid we're going to have to, we'll probably lose picture now. We're going to put a cover on. Stay where you are. Perhaps turn the kettle on or refresh your drink. Andrew will put the cover on. We'll hope that he's more competent at it. Alright, Brent's rain cover is already on, so we'll nip across to him quickly, and I'll see you just now. We'll continue our search for Shadow the leopard. See you just now.
So I decided to go up here and have a look at these other lions. I have seen the Shimungwe pride before, so let's see if we can ID them. So they were lying around here somewhere when James was with them. So we're just gonna creep slowly. We're right near the entrance gate to the Sabi Sands, and the wonderful people who do all the anti-poaching and everything all live around here. So they could have sat on their veranda and watched this incredible lion-hyena interaction this morning. Ah, there we go. See a car. Ah, there they are. Also look quite full. And I mean, I don't know enough about the Tsalala pride, but the fact that they're not joining, to me, says they're probably not from the same pride. And when the others walked towards them, contact calling, they moved off. I mean, this looks like an adult lioness here. Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good, thank you. Shimungwe. You think it's part of Nkuhuma? No, it's too confusing. They've got Nkuhuma and Buffelshoek already, all of them.
All of them?
Yeah.
No, but that's a sticks pie.
Ah, mfethu.
Yeah, bro. Sticks. Nkuhuma and sticks.
And then Tsalala's right here on Nyari.
Tsalala.
Is here. 100 meters away.
It's confusing.
There's lions everywhere and there's dead buffalo everywhere.
I don't know which one is which one. That side you got 2 pride, and here we have 2 pride.
And there's Talamati, and there's another one from Manuleti,
I first Talamati
from Texan.
from Texas.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is cool.
Okay. Oh, it's too much confusion. There's too many lions at the moment. That's a good problem to have, though. Let's have a look. Let's see if we think. Hello, lions. Oh, I don't know. I need to go look at all my photos. So, obviously, we would love to be concise and correct about everything, but this is the amazing thing about working in an open system. You can have lions you've never seen before, right? James seems to think this is the Shimungwes. We can't really get a good view from where we are. I'll try move shortly. I'm tending, from what I saw, I don't think they're Nkumas. Looking at that lioness, she looks too small to be an adult of the Nkumas, and too big to be that young female, and that's just my personal opinion. And again, I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong. And Lewis from Buffalo would like me to spell Shimungwe for them, and it is quite a word. So for those of you, it is a Shangaan word for a batalier, and probably named after a road. And if it is the Shimungwe Pride, they also used to be known as the Castleton Pride, and I used to see them down south when I was guiding in the southern Sabi Sands. But Shimungwe is quite a difficult spelling. I'm going to try for you now. It starts with an X. And you know what we can do? I'll try spell it, and then we'll get James to spell it, and we'll see. James is probably better at this than I am, but Shimungwe is XINGMHUGWE. Shimungwe. So it is the Shangaan name for batalier, and also in the Sabi Sands there's quite a lot of roads that are named Shimungwe. Morning.
Morning. They just see the dogs.
On Buffelshoek. So there we go, guys. There's an update. The wild dogs have been seen on Buffelshoek, so fingers crossed that they head towards us.
3 adults and 11 babies.
That's,
They just killed a kudu.
oh wow, amazing!
Yeah.
So there we go. The wild dogs are doing well though. It's the Investec pack who denned in the Manuleti this year. The 11 pups and 3 adults, and they've just killed a kudu about 500-600 meters to the north of our boundary. So good to hear that the wild dog pack is well and healthy. And now let's try and figure out this lion conundrum. So, I don't think this is the Nkumas. It's those young male. That's a young male at the back there. It looks like possibly getting through there, Bryan. I don't know. Oh, and they're just across our boundary, so this is as close as we can get. But very, very confusing. Let's go back to the other lions and see what's happening with them. But very interesting and very confusing, but that's amazing. It's a good problem to have a lot of lions around. In fact, you know about the other Ngala here? Yeah, with Nyar. There's another 8 lions over here on the Buffelshoek Hill. Lions everywhere. So, we're on the main access road, which we're going to try and get off as soon as possible. Lots of vehicles up and down. So, as I said, we're right there. You can see as we turn a little bit there. That is the main entrance gate into the northern Sabi Sands. And there we've got these big delivery vehicles that are bringing all the wonderful guests staying here in the Sabi Sands their food and beverages, and also transporting staff in and out. So it can be quite a busy place. So it's busy with human traffic and lion traffic this morning. chatting about wild dogs and whatnot earlier, and from San Francisco said, well, the dead baby elephant I mentioned today that I saw the wild dog steal from a hyena, was that the same elephant that wasn't doing so well we saw about a week ago? And it wasn't. That was probably 15 years ago and in Botswana, but definitely not the same elephant. I'm hoping that young elephant is started to get better. Hopefully his mother started producing milk, but I haven't seen that young elephant again. Hello, fat cats. Fat kitties. So decided to come have one look. Looks like the hyenas are still sleeping in the same place. The lions are still sleeping in the same place. So we're definitely going to be back here on the sunset safari, but I don't think we're going to get too much action. There's no feeding happening, just some flatulent cats lying all over the place. So I think we're going to head off to the east and see if we can possibly find some leopard tracks or some elephants or something else. Let's give you one last look at all the lions around us. So we're going to move out and we'll definitely come back and check on them on the sunset safari. As I said, I don't think there's much more action happening. So we're going to cross from the apex predator to some of their prey with James.
Hello everyone, we're here, deep Arathusa. Sorry you lost us a little bit earlier. We were trying to put the rain cover on. The drone commander has been slightly, well, you know, it's been a while since he's operated the Sony that he's operating now. And into this woodland has just gone a beautiful little herd of waterbuck, which unfortunately we can't see anymore. We're going to go a little bit further forward and I'll see if we can't pick them up. There comes one there. But the most interesting thing here is that it started to rain, of course, a little bit, and the smell of the waterbuck. If you can imagine, one day, of course, they'll be able to transfer smells over the internet, no doubt, but at the moment that's not possible. If you can imagine, a waterbuck smells very strong, and I suppose if you have no idea what it smells like, the most obvious thing to liken it to would be a very strong-smelling horse. So if you've been into a stable yard and spent some time around horses, you know they have that very distinctive, very pleasant smell. And a waterbuck is sort of a very powerful version of that, with a bit of musk thrown in on top. And what that is that there's a musk gland inside the skin that tends to create that sort of smell, which is, well, it's not unpleasant at all, but it is very strong. And Brent was just saying yesterday he has seen lions reject waterbuck meat, and I think that's probably the reason for that smelly stuff. Definitely doesn't protect them if the lions are particularly hungry, but if they've been it was feasting on 20 buffalo over the last few days, they're unlikely to want to eat the waterbuck. Janet in Baltimore. You've made the comment that you're quite glad that you can't smell what we can smell. Yes, absolutely. At the lion sighting, where you have the mixed delights in the air of offal or stomach contents, rotting flesh, lion dung, hyenas and just general predator mess, absolutely can be most grateful that you can't smell. But for the rest of it, the bush smells delightful most of the time, and it's a lot of often very subtle smells, and that lovely smell coming off the earth after a little bit of rain is now starting to fill my nostrils and heal the searing and that was given to them by the very powerful and acidic lion dung that we had to smell today. And look at that beautiful impala. And it always amazes me, we had it yesterday certainly after the traumas of watching an impala killed by hyenas and the leopard, and watching her fetus also being ripped from her, which was, I'm sure, very disturbing for some people. And then to come to a situation like this where it's just quiet and very peaceful. Wilderness, I must find that poem that I refer to quite often but can never remember the words to. It basically just says, you know, the wilderness is a tremendous healer, but just as soon as it will find you, it will kill you. And it's just a reminder that things out here are very wild indeed, as peaceful as they are. And there's the waterbuck in the background. You can see that very clever grey shape, at least colour. I've spoken a lot in the last little while as the spring has sprung and the grey or the green leaves have popped into existence. So it is that it becomes so obvious that that red kind of chestnut colour of the impala compared with the waterbuck behind them, which are greyer, it becomes so obvious that that red colour, seemingly to our eyes, is very bad for camouflage. I mean, this is a wonderful example of it, actually. You can see those grey waterbuck walking in the background. You can only see their shapes moving, and when they stop, they're almost impossible to see, whereas the impala in the foreground stand out obviously with that colour of theirs. And so when people talk about camouflage in animals like impala, I don't buy that anymore. I'm not convinced that their colours have got anything to do with camouflage at all. I think that they... well, I actually don't know why they are that colour, and I've yet to come up with a good reason. I suppose their predators are colour blind to a large extent, so perhaps that green and brown to a predator looks very similar. That's quite possible, in the same way that if you're colourblind as a human being, you struggle to do those tests where they put purple numbers inside, you know, made of little purple circles inside a green circle made of a number of smaller green circles. If you think I'm talking nonsense, or if you don't know what I'm talking about, just have a quick Google of it, do a colourblind test, you'll be able to do it for yourself. And those purple and green colours for humans look exactly the same if the human being is colourblind. And it is quite possible that the impala's red chestnut colour, which to our eyes and our colour vision stands out, it doesn't do the same with the predators. What I'm going to do is sneak slowly forward. Waterbuck and impala are just about to sort of cross the road here. I thought there was an elephant to the left, but there isn't. It's a large piece of building equipment. We're right near the Arathusa airstrip. Andrew, I didn't really mean for you to show it to everybody, but I mean, if you want to, that's you have filmed the road today as well, which is good.
I'm on fire, Dave.
You're on fire. First day back. So, we have an insomniac from Connecticut watching, and that's Josh. I think, if I'm hearing the name correctly, the radios are not marvellous at the moment. Josh, you want to know, do the animals hunker down when it rains? They do sometimes. They do tend to go into thick bush, but eventually, if it just keeps raining and raining, then, you know, hunger and, you know, brings them out and because they can't actually get any wetter, whether they stand in the shelter or not, they will come out and start eating. So initially, yes, I think animals do make their way to what can be described as sort of sparse shelter under some of the trees, and then they hunker down for a bit, but then they'll just come out. The lions get particularly miserable. You find them just exactly like house cats, lying underneath a bush, looking miserable, and they hate to be wet for any length of time. The antelope seem to cope a bit better. Interestingly, when we were still allowed to view rhino, they used to disappear during the rain. We'd hardly ever see them. Where they went, I couldn't tell you. And elephants also don't seem to like the feeling of rain on their skins too much. So they tend to go into thicker bush as well. Good question, that. It isn't raining at the moment. We've had the odd spit. Andrew is still operating his camera with the rain cover on. How's it going for you, Andrew?
50-50.
50-50, yes, okay. Marvellous. Right, let's go a little bit further forward. So I'm just saying, we're near the Arethusa airstrip, so if you do hear some construction going on, they are skinny impala, which we're just going to have a quick look at. Sorry, I'm just saying that they are on the Arethusa airstrip putting a concrete fringe around it. You know, it's becoming an international airstrip. Boeing 747s will be landing fairly soon. Don't worry, I'm just joking. It's not really ever going to be an international airstrip. I caused some consternation the other day when I referred to it as Arethusa International. And lots of jokes and comments about the fact that the lions seem to pick up and get excited before the rain. And apparently we are going to have some rainstorms tomorrow. I can't wait for the first summer storm. We had some very nice soaking rain earlier on, but we didn't have that classic kind of thunder clapping, lightning striking storm that will come during the summertime, and I can't wait for that. It really is something spectacular to experience. If you ever want to feel the true power of nature, there's nothing quite like a storm. And I'm sure many of you in the States have experienced, on the East Coast certainly have experienced hurricanes, but thankfully we don't get anything quite so terrifying out here, but we do get some wonderful storms in the afternoons. So all is at peace. There's a young impala ram, or adult impala ram, feeding through the grass. They will graze if they can. You can see his head is down, picking up at the little grass shoots. Now, we did have that soaking rain that I told you about 36 millimeters a little while back. 36 millimeters is roughly 2 inches, well, 1.5 inches, which is pretty good rain to start with. Excuse me. And it did cause the grass to flush. And it flushed green for a while, but we haven't had any rain since. And that was about, Andrew, about a month ago. And the grass is now starting to go grey-brown again, which is totally normal. But it does mean that the straight grazers like the buffalo are going to now go into further nutritional stress, whereas the browser or mixed feeders like these impala, who can eat grass or browse, they will be fine because the spring flush is in full swing amongst the trees. All right, let us sneak a little bit forward. The waterbuck, they're not warthogs, of course, are just up ahead of us here. And we'll try and get a decent look at them. Probably won't hang around here for too long because of the construction. It's not the most sort of wilderness experience having a large construction crew on the site. A magnificent waterbuck bull there. Beautiful fellow. The waterbuck, of course, is the emblem of the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, and we use a number of place names while we're here, and it's difficult sometimes, I think, if you're perhaps a new viewer or your knowledge of African geography isn't perhaps very good, it must be difficult to place where we are. And so the Sabi Sands is a private or collection of private reserves on the western edges of the Kruger National Park in northeastern South Africa, and the Sabi Sands is where we find ourselves now, of course. And part of the Sabi Sands is Djuma and Arathusa. Now that seems to be some kind of tumour that looks pretty gross. I don't know what that is. I'm just going to pull out my powerful binoculars underneath their rain cover. Last used, as I've said before, on the desert campaign by Field Marshal Montgomery. That is just a great big tumorous swelling on the side of that waterbuck's belly. I don't know what that is. It looks like it's quite wobbly. But certainly the condition of the waterbuck would indicate that it's not having a particularly bad effect on him. He's coping with it just fine. And I can smell them again. It really is a very pleasant smell. Do you like it, Andrew, or do you think it's...
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's quite nice.
It's certainly better than lion dung.
I think there's a Cape turtle dove.
Ah. There's a Cape turtle dove or ring-necked dove calling. And Rebecca in Santa Barbara, you want to know what the bird call was. I'm not sure what you're hearing. There are quite a few. Andrew reckons it was a ring-necked dove going croak, 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 croak. There is certainly one of those, or there was one calling. And then there's some hornbills behind us. There, that one. It's a lovely African sound. Well done, Andrew. Ring-necked dove, or Cape, used to be called the Cape turtle dove. And Marianne in Boston, you've caught me out, of course. I mentioned the lovely smell of the rain touching the earth and the smell that it gives off, and there is, of course, a word for that which I forget on the universe on a sort of daily basis. And Marianne in Baltimore, thank you. Yes, petrichor the word is. I did forget it again, but I'm glad to have it again. Thank you for that, Marianne. So the smell, everybody, that you get when new rain touches the earth is called petrichor. And that's definitely part of what we're smelling now, intermingled with the kind of horsey / musky smell of these waterbuck. Andrew, that fellow's turned around, and you see, let's just have another look at him again. So there's the impala with the growth on his belly, and you can see it extends all the way around to one side, and I wonder if it isn't a hernia of some kind. Sorry, not impala, a waterbuck. It's a bit rough when you can't even identify the antelope out here. There, you can see that tumor / hernia / whatever it is. I'm not a vet. Extending all the way around there, and like I said, it doesn't seem to be causing any great deal of distress. Waterbuck looks in pretty good condition. You can't see his hips. He's pretty furry, but I don't think it's affecting his ability to exist too badly at this stage. And this other one is getting quite close to us now. We don't often have very close waterbuck sightings at all. Suzanne, I have to agree with you. As we smell these waterbuck, it seems totally incongruous that lions would eat a smelly, maggot-ridden, rotten buffalo carcass and reject fresh waterbuck meat. I think that would only happen in fairly extreme circumstances. The lions really weren't hungry. Waterbuck do get eaten by lions, there's no question, but perhaps not as much as some of the other antelope do. And there's probably a chemical in it that makes it the meat taste very bitter. And I know a few people who've tried waterbuck steak, and you can actually eat it, but you do have to apparently skin the animal very quickly after it's been killed. Otherwise it becomes totally inedible. So interesting that, but I would agree. It doesn't seem to make a huge amount of sense, certainly taste-wise, that the offensive smell would stop an animal eating them. And another question about, I don't think I finished this. I don't think I finished the story the other day. Judy, you want to know about binocular vision. So this is actually quite an interesting one. Here I have a set of binoculars, like I say, last used by Monty in the Desert Campaign, El Alamein. They weren't really, of course, they just looked like that. And we have got, as predators, we have got eyes in the front of our faces. And what that means is, for most people, our ability to judge distance is exceptional. That comes from something called binocular vision. And when you've got two eyes looking at one place at one time, you're able to judge the distance between different things. I have a rare condition called monocular vision, which makes almost no difference to my life at all. But what it means is that I don't see 3D in the same way that you or Andrew does. I think Andrew sees in 3D. And so, I don't notice the difference because I've always lived with it. But what it means is, if I go to a 3D movie, for example, and put those glasses on, while everybody else is sitting in their seats going, hoo, ha, hee, I just look at the screen. Because it all looks totally two-dimensional to me. So my ability to judge distance is not as great as yours would be if you've got normal binocular vision. And I was watching a bird the other day. Birds, of course, have got binocular vision. They have to, because if they're flying, can you imagine the complexity of coming down and landing on a tiny twig and catching it with your feet and balancing, or trying to pick up a fish out of the water as a fish eagle, or pick up a monitor lizard as a martial eagle as it moves along. Your ability to judge distance has got to be absolutely superb. And what you'll do, you sometimes see it with monkeys, and you sometimes see it with birds. They move their heads like that, and it certainly helps me with my monocular vision. If I'm trying to judge the distance to something, they'll move their heads around, and what that does is, if you do have eyes looking at the same place, it allows you, it just kind of moves the shapes around and allows your brain to adjust the distance and figure out how far away things are. So next time you see a bird doing that kind of look around like that, what he's doing is probably trying to just make sure that he's understood the distance of whatever it is that he's looking at, and maybe he'll go and eat it. Not so important if you're a prey, I don't think many of the animals, the mammals out here, have got monocular vision other than the primates. Let's sneak a little bit forward. There we go, look at this fellow. He's being remarkably confiding to us. Like I say, we don't often have great views of these waterbuck. They normally trot off into the bush, leaving only the wafting smell. And there's some discussion on the tumor slash hernia that we've had on the other. I don't think it was this one. Was it, Andrews, or this one?
I'm not totally sure.
I think it's the other one. On the other waterbuck bull. Barbara, you say surely it's not a tuberculosis tumor. Surely only meat eaters get them. Barbara, I don't know. Certainly not. Obviously, I mean, the TB that animals get here comes from buffalo, bovine tuberculosis, and I think you'll find it probably does affect animals like the waterbuck. This one isn't the one that has that tumor. I don't think that's what it is, though. I don't think it is a tumor from TB. I think it's a hernia. I think you'll find that maybe it's from running away from a predator and he's strained a muscle there, or perhaps even scratched the stomach on a sticking up twig while running or something like that, and maybe that's caused an injury. Here he is again. We'll have another quick look and see before we move on and see what else we can find here. Waterbuck took fright at our aerial or antenna hitting a branch. There we go. Lovely, peaceful day. And very nice to have the coolth. It has been very, very hot of late. So this chap is in front of us is the one with the little hernia, but I'm not sure what it is. Right. Well, from one sort of a smelly animal to the closest relative of the one I compared the smell with, we'll head across to Brent Leo Smith, who has found a zebra, and he'll tell you about that, and I'll see you a little bit later. Oh, good grief.
Welcome. Look at that, guys. We've moved away from those lines and we found a herd of zebra. That one Bryan's trying to show you at the moment is really interesting. It's got a very short tail, almost no tail to be exact. And quite often a lot of people make the false assumption that when zebras are missing tails, and that it is from a lion's. And looking at that, I'm going to say it's not. I can't see any scratch marks either side. Unfortunately, they're moving off into the bush. There seem to be a few more up ahead that might be in the open. And what it often is, and that was a male zebra. There we go. You can see the stump through there. You can see that lack of tail there. And it is more than likely from fighting with another zebra stallion. They have a very vicious bite. And quite often when a zebra is missing a tail like that, it is due to another zebra. And they can be incredibly aggressive animals, zebra. There we go. Off goes Stompy into the thick bush. They're just moving away from the Buffelshoek waterhole where I think they've been drinking. And look to be a few more coming up on the right. Nice big group of zebra, probably about 15 to 20 in total. Okay. These are zebras that have full tails, from what we can see. And probably just had a nice quenching drink, or quenched their thirst rather, at the Buffelshoek waterhole. And now slowly moving off into the mixed woodland feed for the rest of the day. Is it? Feeding on that nice little green flash on the edge of the termite mound. See those tails swishing away to keep the flies at bay. Well, we've seen a tailless zebra and a tailless lion, and Rena said it must be, today's theme must be tailless day. So, well, let's see what other tailless animals we can find before the end of the sunrise safari. We'll let the zebras move off, and we're going to do the same. I've heard a rumor, or not a rumor, I heard a fact about some other animals out there that we're going to slowly make our way towards, and maybe one or two of them might be tailless. And speaking of tailless animals, we're going to bypass some tailless animals now, and it's Aubrey and his guests from Juma who's stopping for a cup of coffee at the Buffelshoek waterhole. And so there we go, that's the third tailless animal of the day. I'm going to go through a little dip here, so we might have a little bit of a signal breakup as I go through this dip. Enjoy your coffee, everyone. And we're going to continue on now, so bear with me as we go through the dip. We might have a bit of signal breakup, but we'll be through it shortly. So, quite a few of you out there, I'm sure, are horse lovers. And it sounds like Crystal in California is definitely one. And she's wondering about zebra hooves. Like, do they have particularly tough hooves? How do they get filed down when they get too long? So one of the reasons we have to file and look after horses' shoes and stuff is quite often because they are walking on substrates that they're not used to. You know, thick sand is it can be very bad for a horse's feet. But obviously out in the bush, the zebras who have soft feet probably get caught by the lions quite quickly. And there's no need to file them down because unlike horses that live in stables and get to stand on nice horse sawdust and get fed very well every day, zebras are constantly on the move between water and food, so they naturally file their own feet down. So they don't need to be managed, groomed or manicured like our wonderful horses. So the zebras are their own farriers. I know it's so great having all you guys out drive with us, and hopefully it inspires some of you to follow into a wildlife sort of background or career. And Ashley from North Carolina says she's studying to become a wildlife biologist. Well done, Ashley. And she says, do I have any advice or whatnot, and how much schooling does she actually need? Well, actually what we do here, the guiding side, is very different from being a biologist. So, although in the past I've worked quite a lot with biologists and scientists and stuff on different projects and things, from an actual biology and a studying point of view, I'm afraid I'm the wrong person to ask. I have no tertiary qualification as such. I did start studying law, believe it or not, before I decided that it probably wasn't for me and I ran away back to the bush. From a guiding point of view, it's very different. I mean, you can go to a training school, or you can intern at a lodge to get that experience from a guiding point of view. But if you are going into the sciences, the pure sciences and stuff, I would definitely recommend continuing with your studying. Maths is not a strong point, and that makes going into any science for me quite difficult. But if you wanted to, there's so many different avenues of wildlife you can follow, whether it be African or South American or even North American. And I'm sure if you look at every university in the States, they will have a speciality, and a lot of universities in the States sponsor and are involved in projects all over the world, and especially in Africa. I think University of Florida has got quite a lot of lion stuff out in Kenya, Tanzania, and here. So all I could recommend is probably getting in touch with the right people at the right university. But if you wanted to be a safari guide, that's a very different thing. And there are multiple courses and stuff online in that, and different courses that are run in the Sabi Sands. But I would personally say I would rather intern at a lodge than do one of those full courses. You get training on the job rather than a very structured book training, because the one thing structured book training doesn't prepare you for is what happens out there, because the lions don't read the books, only we do. I mean, for example, there's no ways a different part of lions should be lying that close to those lions if under normal circumstance. And one thing you got to remember out here is that nothing's normal and everything can change in an absolute split second. So I want to go find us some bigger beasts, but unfortunately while I do that, I need to go through quite a bad signal area down through this drainage line. So we'll stay with me while we can, and hopefully with the overcast weather we don't have any signal breakup. But it is going to be worth it. So it sounds like from the radio it's raining to the north of us in Buffelshoek, quite hard it seems. Unfortunately, where we're sitting, it doesn't seem to be any rain. There is signal breaker. Sorry about that. It is a really well-known bad signal area, so I try to get through it as quickly as possible. But it is worth it. I am making my way towards some animals that I know you guys love. So I had to... If I had to go around the bad signal area, it would have taken me an extra half an hour, and that wouldn't have been any good because there's not that much long left of the Sunrise Safari, and I want to pack in as much as possible for you guys before we say goodbye. The first animal we were looking for, I was told, was around here. And let's have a look. I'm not seeing him at the moment. But mind you guys, keep a lookout. Look for something that's tall enough to poke its head above the trees. Oh, here comes the rain again. Just singly big drops. You can see them start, but I'm hoping it holds out. Oh, there they are. And more up ahead. We found what we were looking for. Well, the first animal we were looking for. Big giraffe bull here. Actually, this rain is a little bit more aggressive than I thought it was. I don't know if you can hear the pitter-patter of raindrops upon the canvas. go. There's quite a few giraffes around us. I can see 1, 2, 3. And that doesn't mean they... Oh, 4. So Bryan's on that one there. And then, I mean, an incredibly large animal like that, it's unbelievable how their camouflage is. So if we come off to the right there, Bryan, slowly. Keep coming. Across to the right. And there. So, there we go. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? Oh dear. Hey guys, of course, being out in the bush and being live, we have got a lot of sensitive equipment on the vehicles, and it is now raining very hard, and I'm going to have to try and get us under cover as quickly as possible. And it's just come out of nowhere. Oh, nearly lost to Bryan. So, unfortunately, to be able to produce this incredible thing that we do, these live game drives, we do have a lot of sensitive equipment. We're going to try, hopefully we can just get ahead of this cloud, but we're going to link across to James while I'm playing the Ferrari driver.
Link.
Okay, going there.
3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone, I'm just fetching you a flower. Stand by 1. I can't really pick it. Well, I could, but the more sensitive of you would complain bitterly, and so you should. Andrew, can you see this flower?
Yes, very nicely.
This flower is called Ippomea, if I'm not very much mistaken. And it's a kind of morning glory. Just a beautiful purple flower juxtaposed with the greenness of the bush around it. And these flowers are what we call herbaceous, and that means that they don't ever form any kind of wood. They, much like grasses, are always quite soft or herbaceous. Oh, there are a lot more. I didn't need to go so far away. Can you even see these?
Yes,
a lot more. This is a different species of... No, in fact, it's the same one. The same thing. And closed up because of the cloud. They'll open up when the sun comes out again. Very beautiful. And they are only here as a result, of course, of the little bits of rain that we've had this year. Like I said, 36 millimeters or 1.5 inches of rain. And much like the grasses, they've got what we call an adventitious root system. That means that the roots are never more than sort of that deep. So they must get water from the surface of the soil, whereas the trees have got a very deep taproot system, and that taproot goes down to the water table, and the trees will then suck water from that, and that's how they flush in the absence of rain. So they react far more to day length than they do to actual surface water, which is why the grasses stay grayer and browner for longer than the trees do. Right, I'm going to climb back into the car, obviously. There's an enormous rain cover here that is covering everything. I've got to find my plug so that I can plug myself in, because take a drive without listening to Tara Dales, well, it's just not an option really, is it? Okay, I'm back, retrieving my radios. Sorry for the delay, and we're on our way. Right, where we are on the curve, I think Brent is probably a bit further north of us where it's raining. Brent is just a little bit further north of us, I think, with he had that giraffe and then obviously the rain, and lots of you saying how happy you are to see the rain. We are too, you know, and I think we'll probably get a bit more of it today, not a huge amount, and then hopefully a decent sized storm tomorrow. Just a reminder, if it does rain properly, we won't be able to drive around because his finger making its debut on international internet. Well done, Andrew. He's just cleaning off the raindrops from the lens, which is very important. So just to remind you, if we do get a big storm, we'll probably go undercover. We might answer a few questions from there, but we won't be able to do a proper drive if it rains too much harder than it's raining now. I mean, we're getting the odd spot of rain. And you can see how localized it is. Because Brent is what? I'm guessing where he is. He's probably on the roundabout the Buffelshoek cut line, which is only about maybe 3 or 4 kilometers from where I am now. And the rain is much harder where he is. Oh, actually, he's less than that. He's around quarantine clearings, and that's really not far away at all. That's only about 1 kilometer away as the crow flies. Somebody asked me once about the expression "as the crow flies" and whether crows fly straighter than other birds. I think they were being facetious. I, of course, do appreciate such facetiousness. I don't think they fly any straighter than other birds. It's probably a Shakespearean expression, but I might be wrong. We're just coming up on another game drive here. Like the inimitable Cedric. How's it going? Good. Okay. Carry on. Enjoy. Cedric of Arathusa. I think they're all running for home. I don't know if you saw his guests covered in their rain ponchos. Certainly, when I was a guide, I had, it was amazing how a rain poncho, much like a rain jacket, is basically, despite the fact that we've sent people to the moon, we seem unable to make a rain jacket that is in fact waterproof, no matter what it costs. We can make a black plastic bag that is entirely waterproof and costs 20 cents, but nothing in the way of actually waterproof rain material.
See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
That was Doug from Simbambili. His guests a bit braver than the others we saw, without their rain ponchos on. Yes, it's hardly a deluge, I must say. We're getting the odd bit of spittle from the universe on our faces. Lovely tree up ahead that I'm going to show you, which proved me wrong. I didn't know as much about its physiology as I thought I did. It's called a brown ivory. And this brown ivory tree here, Andrew, do you see it? Yes, well done. We'll park underneath it so that Andrew can shoot some artistic shots up into the leafy boughs. This beautiful tree lost all of its leaves right at the end of winter, and certainly in many places I've been, the brown ivory is something of a semi-deciduous tree, which means that it loses its leaves sort of periodically, not always all together, and then normally gets them back quite quickly and at various times of the year. And this one lost it in pretty traditional deciduous fashion, but in the last few weeks has gained its beautiful green colors. It really is a lovely tree. I used the term bow the other day when we were doing our rehearsals for the Nat Geo Wild productions, and there seemed to be great confusion amongst my various colleagues as to what the word bow meant. I think some of them thought I said bowel, which of course a tree doesn't have. It doesn't have a bowel at all, it has boughs. A bow, Andrew, is a fork. No. Oh goodness. A bough is a branch for anybody who's worrying what that is. There we go.
I thought it was the fork of the tree.
No. As far as I understand it, Andrew, it is in fact a branch. So that's the brown ivory, Burkinia discolor. We'll head along Philemon's cut line here and see what it has to offer us. And we had a question earlier about whether animals tend to go into hiding during the rain or do they hunker down. Well, there certainly seems to be a bit of hunkering going on now. Question from Ashley, who would like some advice on to how to become a wildlife biologist. Ashley, I give a complete disclaimer at the front end of what I'm going to say to you now. So, should you end up in abject poverty one day and homeless on the streets, please do not blame me for it. It depends entirely on what kind of wildlife biology you want to do. So if you're going to go into what I'm doing now, which would be guiding, essentially, you don't need a degree. I've got a degree in biology, but you don't have to have one to do it. It certainly helps, I think, with understanding the processes that go on out here, especially some of the concepts surrounding evolution and physiology in both animals and plants. So it's always a good base if you can do a degree like that. It's a good idea simply because it's a good way to learn to think. But practically it won't teach you about what tree this is and what bird that is, etc., etc. Or certainly mine didn't. But if you want to go into research and your general bent or interest is to have a deeper understanding of what's going on in the wild, then the only way to go, I think, is a university degree of some kind, and probably to at least a master's level if you want to do proper research, probably a PhD if you're really serious about it. But if you are interested in just being in the wild and a career in wildlife, there's so many different kinds. You can do research, you can guide, you can become what we call a game ranger, which would be basically a park manager or warden. And then you probably don't need a degree, but like I say, if you can get one, it's never a bad idea. But certainly you don't. Brent has very successfully made a career out of wildlife. He doesn't have a degree in biology at all, and he's made an extremely successful career in wildlife. So lots of different ways. It really depends on what you want to do. The degree is obviously essential if you want to go into serious research. And I would recommend it to anybody who doesn't have a biological background, just because it gives you a basic introduction to evolution, which is a hugely important topic. Right, while we're driving along looking at nothing at all, let's go along to a vervet monkey. I'm not in fact referring to Brent Leo Smith. He's bigger than a vervet monkey, but he is looking at a vervet monkey just now.
Well, the last primates we saw were tailless human beings, and now we've got a tailed primate, a vervet monkey, and is keeping Bryan on his toes as it hops around in the tree. There's quite a few of them around us in the different trees. Having a look up. They're feeding off. When we arrived, they were feeding off a baby jackalberry, which is below this. Oh, he's going even higher. And I saw the other one jumped across to the other tree. I can't see where they've gone now. This guy might be preparing himself for a leap by the looks of things, possibly to the next tree. Oh, splat. Bombs away. Good thing we were not parked underneath it. I think we were punished enough with the lion dung this morning. So it's been such a fantastic sunrise safari. I mean, to start off with lions and hyenas interacting, incredible way to start the morning. And we're definitely going to head back to that area this evening and see if there's any more action. But at the moment we've got a curious monkey who's coming closer to try to look at us, but pretending he's not looking at us. Oh. Little juvenile vervet monkey. Yes, I see you looking here. And below the monkeys, a little bit behind them, is that? Oh, he's on the move again. And there's also, as I said, below and behind the monkeys, there's a couple of kudu bulls, two quite youngish bulls, one older one. And there's one of the younger bulls browsing away. And the older one over there. I don't know if you guys can hear that. There's incredible thunder to the west of us. And we managed to get ahead of that last little bit of rain, but it's going to catch up with us, I think. It's still a long way off that low, distant rumble of thunder. Oh, Bryan, African golden, black-headed oriole, sorry, not golden. There, and there. I think it's in there. Where's he gone? No. Ah, he's just moved. Okay, there we go. Here we go. There's a black-headed oriole. We can hear that beautiful chortling call of theirs. Almost says oriole. Oriole tells you what he is. Very beautiful bird. Was there another one just landed? Let's have a look there. It almost looks like there could be a pair of orioles there. Oh, and off it goes. But the kudu are moving off. We still got these monkeys in the tree to the right of us. And Anna Marie is wondering if these naughty little guys ever sneak into the lodges. They do. And it is a constant battle for the butlers and waiters to keep them at bay, especially off the breakfast buffet. They are known as great thieves off the breakfast buffet. And you'll normally find at any of the lodges in this part of the world that your waiter will always be armed with a catapult. So not only will he serve you drinks and bring your food and generally be a hell of a nice guy, he's also deadly accurate with a slingshot, and that is to keep monkeys and baboons away from your breakfast. And, well, just quickly, the monkeys are moving to the other side of the tree there. There we go. But Bryan pointed it out to me, and I didn't notice that, but I think sometime last night, one of the big trees on Quarantine seems to have collapsed, fallen down, so let's go have a look. It looks like a marula, so probably what would have happened is the elephants would have debarked a section after that nutrient cambium layer, and then wood borer beetles would come in and they weaken it. And you can see ahead of us, it's massive. Let's go have a closer look. See what caused this to fall. And there's quite an big old marula that's collapsed here. And there we go. Isn't that incredible? Like, as I was saying, and it's not often we're going to get to look at something as perfect as this. So this has collapsed last night. And as I was saying about it, that obviously the elephants have debarked a section, causing a bit of the wood to die. And too attachments, and the wood borer beetles have come in, and you can see there, and some of them are bigger, so they're not only longhorn beetles, the larvae also bore in here. I'm actually going to see if we can maybe even find one. That would be really cool. Whoa. Well, not there. How's that? Is the head of a... I'm going to put it on the dashboard where it's easy to see. Now you see why they're called longhorn beetles. So those are the antennae, and they can be very, very big, and all their larval stage actually bore into wood. I'm going to try. We're probably not going to, but you can see here this perfect little round area would have been where. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh my goodnthis, it's just a treasure trove in here. But this is an exoskeleton of one of these larvae. I'm going to pop that on the dashboard. So, and these grubs can be big, much bigger than my finger, and fatter. So it's basically a big white maggot. And this particular, well, one of the giant longhorns, and that's definitely probably from that. The Shangaan name for them is Mbong, and a tracker that both James and I used to work with considered these a delicacy. So what you would do is you would find a nice rotten tree that had fallen over like this, and you'd get in there and remove these huge fat white grubs and fry them up. And I had to taste them, and imagine eating a huge white maggot that tastes like bacon, so really tasty, but it has the consistency of snot. So it's quite a strange experience. So you taste bacon and it's just slimy and sludgy. It's good also. Really, really cool. So what I was showing here is that you can see they would have bored in, they would have fed, and this is where they would have cocooned in, and you can see they've dug a nice perfect round spot in there, and that's where that the would have gone through into becoming an adult from the larval phase. So after the borers have come in, to weaken it even more, have a look, there's been termites. Ooh, what a big picture. So we've got termites in afterwards, and I mean you can see how rotten it is. Look at that, you can see all the borer casings where they've been, all the borer casings where they've been eating, and you can see there's different size borers from those giant longhorns to much smaller ones, and then the termites have also come in and started feeding in here. You can see there's a bit of soil that, there we go, that the termites have formed on, and let me just have a quick look what else we can find in here. And there's lots of these exoskeletons left from those incredibly large borer beetles. It's a wonderful smell, this fresh wood here, and it's beautiful pink inside. I'm going to move the vehicle so you guys can have a proper look, but it's beautifully pink inside. And I don't know if any of you have ever been into a sawmill or worked with a carpenter, when you've got that lovely fresh wood smell that's sort of not piney, it's nicer than piney, it's almost quite sweet. This gives us a great opportunity to have a look at lots of things here. Let me just reposition again so Bryan has all the angles available to him. So there we're talking about that beautiful, beautiful hue, and that almost pinky, and it just smells so wonderful. You can see how nice it's almost red in the center, and the wood's got this sort of really lovely pink tinge to it. Marula is very soft wood, so it's not very good for carpentry and things like that. But let's have one last quick look over here quickly. Bryan, can you get this? So this possibly was a hole. I can make sure there's no snakes in it.
Oh, I just can't see it.
You just can't see it. But what we will do is we will come have a look at this later. I'm going to try one last quick, hopefully not too rotten yet. But we'll definitely come back, and we've got such an exciting sunset safari planned for everyone. We've got lions on a buffalo kill, hyenas all around them. But I definitely think we should definitely revisit this tree. I think there's a lot more stories this tree has to tell. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us on the Sunrise Safari, and what a spectacular way to get back into the swing. And from James and myself, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and from Bryan here and Andrew on the other vehicle and Tara in final control, we'll see you on the Sunset Safari.